Alright, so let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the 15th session of Webcast Wednesday. My name is Jagrati and today I'm going to be talking about array programming in LabVIEW. And we're going to follow that with simple data logging in LabVIEW. So why array programming? Now array programming is something most of you use very frequently in almost all your applications to manipulate similar data types. So let's learn a little more about it and what LabVIEW is capable of doing. That is. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We're going to start with some very fundamentals of what arrays are all about, and then we're going to learn how to manipulate these arrays in LabVIEW, both the basic and advanced features of array manipulation in LabVIEW. And then we're going to have numerous demonstrations to show you this same in LabVIEW. And finally, we're going to use some high-level VIs to do simple array data logging in some external file formats such as text files and Excel sheets. Okay, so let's talk about a very fundamental question of difference between arrays and clusters, because every time we talk of arrays, clusters follows along with that. So when do we use arrays and when do we use clusters? As most of you will be familiar, arrays are used when you have similar data types and you want to work, manipulate and use them together in your code. Clusters are used when you have different data types in your code, when you have a collection of different data types all pretty much functioning for the same purpose but working in different ways. That is when we'll be using clusters. And today I'm going to take up arrays in detail. Okay, so let's start with what an array is. Most of you must be familiar that an array consists of elements and dimensions. So what is an element? Any single data point represented is an element, and a collection of such data points comprises of an array. And you can add depth to an array by increasing the number of rows and columns as shown in this figure. Now this is a very pictorial representation of arrays, the picture that we have in mind when you think of arrays. And when you come to LabVIEW, the representation is exactly the same. When you talk of a 1D array, you actually see a 1D array. When you talk of a 2D array, you can actually see a 2D array in LabVIEW. So now let's learn about how to extract these data points out of arrays. So let's have a look at the first array, the 1D array. Here I have an array of 6 elements starting from 5 to 1. And this little space that you see here is for the index of the array. Right now it is at 0, and whatever number is here, that particular element is represented on top of the array. So if I increment this to say 3, then I will see index 0, 1, 2, 3. So I will see element 6 right here on top of my array. Similar in case of a 2D array. Now this is a 2D array where the first number here, this dimension size, represents the number of rows, and this dimension size represents the number of columns. So as you can see in this 2D array, I have 6 rows and 4 columns. If I want to see number 11 right here, I will choose row number 0, 1, 2. I will choose number 2 here and 0, 1, column number 1. So with a row of 2 and column of 1, I can reference this particular element of 11. The same thing is represented again. So this is my 1D and 2D array with various elements in that. And if I want to rather use this element of 4.2 or data point of 4.2, I will not directly use 4.2, I will reference it or extract it using its corresponding index number, which is 4. And index always starts from 0. So whatever the number of your element, minus 1 will be the index of that element. This is in case of a 1D array. In case of a 2D array, similar case, these are my data points. In order to reference the data point, say 98, I will use row number 1 and column number 3. So 1, 3 is actually my point 98. Okay, now let's move on to some common array functions, and now let's move into LabVIEW and see how these can be done using LabVIEW functions. So this is the array palette. I'm sure most of you must have seen this, and today we're going to discuss some of these functions. First, let's take up the basic functions of array size, initialize array, array subset, build array and index array in a little more detail. So array size, as the name suggests, is meant to get the size of an array, 1D, 2D, n-dimensional array. So in this case, this array has 4 elements, 7, 3, 2, 5. And when I pass this to this array size function, I get the number of elements in this array, which is 4. Now the same thing, if I use the same array function and pass not a 1D but a 2D array to it. Now 2D array has 2 parameters associated, the number of rows and the number of columns. Therefore, the output of this array size will again be a 1D array where the first element is the number of rows and the second element is the number of columns. Initialize array. Now this is a function in LabVIEW to programmatically create an array. I will go on to show you a demonstration of how this can be done, but just for the theoretical knowledge, this is your initialize array size. And whatever I give to the dimension size will be the number of elements in this array, and the value here will be the value of the element. So here I give 3, therefore I have 3 elements and the value of those elements are 4.2. Now if I want to create not a 1D but a 2D array programmatically, I just have to drag this initial array downwards and I'll get 2 inputs, where the first one represents the number of rows and the second the number of columns. So now I have an array of 2 rows and 3 columns with the element 1. Okay, so array subset is something we use quite frequently when you want to get just a portion of your array. For example, just this portion. So I have this huge array and I want to extract just this portion. All I have to do is send this to a ready-made function called array subset. Mention the index number of the array. Here, number 3, the index is 1 because index starts from 0. So 0, 1, and the length of this array, I want to extract just 3 elements, so I specify a length of 3. And thereby the output of this array will be an array with the elements 3, 2, and 5. Again, let's go on to see how you can build arrays programmatically. So here, using multiple arrays or using multiple scalar values, how you can create an array programmatically. So the difference between this and the initialize would be, initialize I'm creating an array with the same data points. Here I can add different data points to it at the very creation of the array. So here what I'm doing is, this is my build array function. For the first input I'm giving an array, and second input I can even give an element. It doesn't have to be another array. So here my first array consists of 7, 3, 2 and my element is 5. So this 5 will simply be added to this output of the array such that I have 7, 3, 2, 5 in the output. Now similarly I can also give 2 different arrays. Now difference between this array function and this array function is, here I have selected the concatenate array option. How you do this is by right clicking on the array and say concatenate inputs. And when you do that, an array such as 2 different arrays are merged in one one-dimensional array. So my elements would be 7, 3, 2, 1, 5, one after the other. So they would, I'm building an array with 2 one-dimensional arrays and the output will also be a one-dimensional array. But if I choose to not concatenate the inputs, then if I give an input of 2 one-dimensional arrays to the build array function, the output will be a 2D array such that each of these elements given at the input will form a fresh row in the 2-dimensional array. So here as you can see, I have an n-dimensional array with 2 rows because I have given 2 arrays to it. Okay, finally coming to an index array function. Now this is something that by far is used most frequently when you're working with array manipulation functions. And why would you use index array? Now say I want to reference an element in the array. Like I previously mentioned, to reference an element in the array, you need to use the corresponding index to reference the array. So here in this array 7, 3, 5, I want to extract just one element, that is 5. So I need to give the index of that element, which is 2, and I can extract that particular element. In this particular case, now this is a 2-dimensional array and I want to extract an entire row. So what I can do is give the row number. Here the row number 0, 1. So this is my first row And that is what I'm extracting using the index array function. Similarly, I can also extract a column, just like I extracted an index. So here I'm giving a column 0, and column 0 is nothing but 7, 5, and 2. And thereby I get an output of 7, 5, and 2. Okay, now let's get on to programming this in LabVIEW. Alright, so now first thing that I would like to talk about is how to create arrays. What are the various ways to create arrays? First way to create an array is by going to the array option on your controls palette and selecting the array skeleton. So this is an array shell which has, as you can see, it's shown up in black color. That means this hasn't been defined for any data type as of now. So now I want to convert this into an array of numeric values. Thereby I drop a numeric value into this. Now this is an array, as you can see, it's changed to orange color. So I can add values in this. So this is one way of creating an array, but this is not a programmatic way of creating an array, it's a manual way of creating an array. Another option is to do the same thing on your block diagram. So go to your array palette, select the array constant, drop it here. It's a black shell because it hasn't been programmed for a data type yet. I will drop a numeric constant, same thing. Now this is programmed to be an array constant which does not have a corresponding front panel controller indicator. This you can use when there are times you wouldn't want to see every array on your front panel. You would just want to do some manipulation within the code. That is when you would want to use the array constant functions. Okay, now let's see the other ways. We spoke about two of them. Let's understand those. Now let's try to understand about the other functions. So this is my array palette. I will just pin it right here. So this is my array palette. I spoke about array size, index array. I spoke about initialize array, build array, array subset, the most commonly used array functions. Out of these, today I will demonstrate how to use build array functions because this is another way of creating an array. So let me just, so you can drag this down to how many ever elements you want to enter into your array. So now I'll just keep it to 3. I can either give constants here, and then create an indicator. Now the output of this is automatically an array, and this I call programmatically creating an array. Now when I run this will enter the values 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, instead of entering constants, you can also enter a complete array to the inputs. So like we discussed, that if you place a build array function and I drag this down, I get two inputs, concatenate inputs and do not concatenate inputs. So right now if I give it two different arrays and do not concatenate the input, it will form a two-dimensional array. But if I do concatenate the inputs, then it will form a one-dimensional array where this second element will be followed by the first elements. Okay. Now another very interesting way of creating an array is to use a for loop. Now this is again a programmatic way of creating an array, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the for loop. For loop is a structure in LabVIEW that iterates the number of times you specify by the value n here. So let me create a constant and call it 10. So this will iterate 10 times, and this value of I will progress from 0 to 9, basically indicating the number of iterations. Now I want to create an array with some random numbers. So I'll just choose a random number operation and place it here. Now you see by default this is auto-indexed. Auto-indexed in the sense every random element will go and get accumulated at this point, and the output of this will be an array with 10 elements. Why 10? Because this random number will generate 10 different random numbers because of this condition that I placed right here. And now when I run this, I'll get an array with 10 random numbers. Now I'm just using a random number just to demonstrate how arrays can be created programmatically. In your application, you might go on to actually implement a logic here, thereby creating an array of the output of it. I can also, give I right here. And now when I run it, I will get the values of I, which is 0 to 9. Now if I want to create a two-dimensional array programmatically, I will simply place another for loop within this for loop. Okay, now let's use the same random number example. That was a one-dimensional array, that's why I'm going to create a two-dimensional array now. Now as you can see, the wire size is increasing, right? So first is a thin wire, which is a single point. A thicker wire is a 1D array, a double wire is a 2D array. And this is my 2D array, where the number of iterations of the outer loop is equivalent to the number of rows and the number of iterations of my inner loop is equivalent to the number of columns. So let me keep this at a 4 so that I can see it on my front panel. Now when I run this, I'll get 4 rows and 5 columns. Programmatically created an array with some random numbers since I use a random number generator. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, now let's advance and go on to a slightly more advanced array manipulation functions within LabVIEW. We have seen the first few and we have realized how simple it is to manipulate arrays within LabVIEW. Now let's go on to a slightly more advanced feature. So today we will just be looking at a couple of them, that is sorting a 1D array, searching 1D array, splitting a one-dimensional array, reversing and rotating 1D array, interpolating a 1D array, threshold of 1D array, interleave and decimate 1D array. Now let us go on to understand what each of these are and what better way to do that than doing it right in LabVIEW. So this is a code where I have simply just used those functions, ready-made functions, just to show you the operation of those functions. Okay. So this is my input data where I'm giving two arrays. Okay. Now I'm performing a couple of operations on this. I'm reversing the array, rotating the array, decimating an array, interleaving, searching, finding threshold, and interpolating them. Let's try and understand what each of these terms mean. Now the first operation, I've given it to this particular array. So what it's simply doing is, this is my array and I'm just reversing the order of the arrays. So it just reverses. It starts from this. So if it's index from 0 to 3, it goes right opposite. It starts from 9, 6, 3 and 1. So it's as simple as that, reversing. Rotating. Now let's try and understand what rotating is. Rotating is different from reversing in the sense, whenever I mention that I want to rotate it, it just means that this element of 9 will come and sit on top and push 1, 3 and 6 at the bottom. So my array will be 9, 1, 3, 6 if I mention that I want to rotate only one element. But if I mention that I want to rotate two elements, or I want to rotate it twice rather. Now when I run it, you see 9 has gone down and 6 came on top, right? So this is when I'm rotating it in the clockwise manner. Now if I want to do it in the opposite direction, I will simply create a minus sign here. So let me give it a -1. Now what should happen? 1 should go at the bottom. So 1 goes at the bottom and 3, 6 and 9 remain. Similarly, if I give it a -2, 6 comes on top. Okay, so this is about your rotating array function. Now let's go on to decimating array. What does decimate mean? Let's also have a look at the block diagram. It's as simple as this. I've simply just used all the functions. Now decimate array, what I'm doing here is I'm giving it one input of this particular array, which is this array. And now the moment I create two outputs to this decimate array, what that means is that the array is split into two, where the first element will go to array 1 and the second element will go to the next array. Similarly, that will repeat. The third element will go to this array and the fourth element will go to this array. Now, if I go on to create 3 inputs by dragging this down, the same thing will be repeated for 3 arrays. That is, the first element will go to the first array, second element will go to the second array, third element will go to the third array. Similar thing will repeat here on. So why would we use decimate array functions? Is sometimes you might end up acquiring a lot of samples. For example, say 1000 samples. Now you have acquired 1000 samples, but your hardware doesn't let you store 1000 samples on your device, on the FIFO on your device. So what you can do is by using this particular function, you can enter that array of 5000 elements here and split it such that you take every alternate sample. Thereby you're reducing the number of samples, but you can still reconstruct your entire signal. So that is one application of decimating an array, and I will go on to show you an example as well. Now let's talk about interpolating an array. So here what happens is, let's see the function here. This is my interpolate function. So all you have to do is give your array and give the index that you want. Now the only difference is you can give an index between two indices. That is, if this is my array on the front panel with 5, 0, 7 and 2, I can actually get an index between 5 and 0, which would mean getting an extra element from between, interpolating it rather. So what I've done here is, let me now give an index of 0.5. Now an index of 0.5 would mean a value between 5 and 0. So this should be an interpolation between 5 and 0. It's a linear interpolation. So now when I run it, I will get a 2.5. Now let me give it a 1.5. So what is the 1.5 supposed to do? It's supposed to give me something between index 1 and index 2. 0, 1, 2. Something in between this. So now when I run this, I get a 3.5. So this is again linearly interpolating between 0 and 7. So that is about your interpolating 1D array functions. This you will use when you have an array and you want more data to better represent it. And that is when you would go on to use your interpolate 1D array function. Threshold array. So here what I am doing is I am giving my array input, which is an array, this array, and I am giving an element. In this case, it is 6. So here it sees where best does 6 fit in. Now 6 is closer to this element of 7, and this index of 7 is actually 0, 1 and 2. So it's giving 6 an index of 1.8, which is something between 0 and 7, but closer to 7. Searching a 1D array. Now this is something you will use when you have, say, a huge table. Okay, and you have a huge table with multiple columns in it, where say the first column represents the name of a candidate, second column is the class, third column is the section. Now based on the name of the candidate, if you want the class and section to programmatically show up, now you cannot predefine the name because an end user will be choosing the name. So give an output here where you give the name of the array. Now that will immediately give you the corresponding index corresponding to that name. So here what I've done is, since I've given Since I've given this array as my input, I will just give the element 3. And now I will programmatically get the index of 3, which is 1. And now I can go on to extract the corresponding data if it was a 2D array, whatever comes along with 3. Okay, interleaving array. Now this is a very interesting feature in LabVIEW, interleaving array. So here what you can do is, if you have two separate arrays, like in the case it takes two inputs, I have two separate arrays that I'm giving. What it does is it interleaves these two arrays and gives one complete array, which means first it puts 1 point from the first array and the second point from the second array. So when I run this, you see these are my two arrays. I have given this array first and this array second. So it's taken the data point of this array, which is 5, and the data point of this array, which is 1. After that, again it goes back to the previous array, gets the second element, and then gets the second element of the first array. So this way I'm interleaving two different arrays. Okay, now let me just show you the same thing in LabVIEW on the slide. Okay, so now this is an example of a decimate array example. So I had mentioned that if you have, say, 1,000 samples being acquired, now in this case I have just indicated a couple of samples, but say you have too many samples, your hardware cannot accommodate so many samples, it does not have so much of memory space. So at that point of time, you don't want to, take half of these samples, which would mean if you take only half of these samples, that means you would only get half of the signal representation, right? Which would be only this cycle. I want the entire signal to be represented. So that time what I would do is I would just take out one element one after the other. Every alternating element I would take it out and make it look something like this. So if I have to do something like this, I would directly use a decimate array function. Now if you don't use a decimate array function, there is a lot of other logic that you'll have to implement in order to do this. But decimate array does this automatically for you. Now let's go on to interleaving array. Now what interleaving array does is, now let's assume that there is a window that is collecting 8 samples. So there is this static window which is taking 8 samples, and at the background there is this waveform which is continuously moving, right? So first you take 8 samples. Now these 8 samples will form one array with 8 data points. Now for the next iteration, the waveform shifts. So you see I've given it a shift of about 30 degrees, but the samples are taken from the same point. 8 samples are taken from the same point, that is point corresponding to the x-axis, at the same intervals rather. So now I have another array with 8 different points, right? Now if I put these points and these points to get together, I will get a complete waveform. Right? So that is when you can go on to using interleaving in arrays. Okay, now the last part of today that I want to show you is, now that we have understood a little bit about arrays, some array functions, how arrays are created, now let's go on to actually store this array data programmatically using a write and read from spreadsheet. Now, write and read from spreadsheet are considered high-level IOs. I'm sure most of you must have seen this palette in LabVIEW. It's called File IO. When you click on this, the first row here corresponds to high-level IOs, and the ones at the bottom correspond to low-level file IOs. Now, what high-level file IOs means is it makes life much simpler. All the coding has been already done by LabVIEW developers for you. All you have to do is simply give the input to this particular function. And when you do that, it will log it to whatever form you want it to. Similarly, you can read the data and again read the data from, say, a text file or an Excel file and read it back in LabVIEW. So let's see how this can be done. Okay, so this is a very simple example, as you can see. So what I'm doing here is, like I previously mentioned how arrays are programmatically created, I'm creating an array with 10 rows and 5 columns. I'm giving a random number generator to it, and I'm logging this in a write to spreadsheet file. Now, if you observe a write to spreadsheet file expects a one-dimensional or a two-dimensional array to log it on the file. Now, the file can either be a text or an Excel file. So first, I'm using this auto-indexing property. Since I'm using an auto-indexing property, one dimension is added each time it leaves the loop. So this is a single value, 1D value, and a 2D value. And now a 2D value is getting stored on the write to spreadsheet file. So now when I run this, it asks me where to log the data. Let me select the test data. Now let me go back to the test data. So you see it is logged it with 10 rows and 5 columns in my text file. Okay. Now I've placed a case structure such that one write to spreadsheet is in the true case and the false case also have a write to spreadsheet. Just that in this particular case, I am not auto-indexing out of the first loop. I'm giving the entire data out and I'm auto-indexing only at the second loop. Therefore, only a 1D array is created out of this. Now, this 1D array goes to the 1D input of this text file. So now when I run this, I'll write it to the same text data and say OK. Now let me observe the text data. Now you see I have 10 elements. I have 10 elements out of my outer for loop. Since I indexed only my outer for loop, I have only 10 elements. So this is about how to write data to a text file or an Excel file. Now in this case I've stored a text. You can always go on and try with Excel at your end, and how easily data can be logged from an array. Okay, so that was about today's webcast. Now I want to announce some very interesting features of webcast. First, I would like to talk about NI Days. So most of you probably already know about this. So this NI Days, we have Dr. James Tushar, the CEO and co-founder of National Instruments, visiting India for the first time. And at NI Days, we're going to learn how various demos and technologies will be showcased. There'll be discussions, there'll be multiple tracks running, and you can come and speak to the application engineers directly at that forum. And what you can get out of Webcast Wednesday, we will give you a chance to meet Dr. T and get a certificate personally signed by Dr. James Tushar, also called Dr. T. How we're going to be doing this, as announced last year, is the winner of every week, the top 5 or the top winners of every week will be getting points for the code that they make, and that will be put up on the community. You can view the points, the scoreboard at the end of the session, and the top 5 of these will be chosen to represent Webcast Wednesday zone at NI Days. And the top winner out of these 5 will get a certificate signed by Dr. James Tushar himself. And the winner of last contest, Mr. Ahmad Zaran, congratulations. Your VI was spectacular. And I would also like to congratulate all the other participants. Your VIs were beautiful too. So this is the scoreboard for last week. This will be put up on the community and constantly updated based on every contest. So right now we have Ahmad leading with a total point of 27. We are rating programming skills, aesthetics and functionalities based on 10. Congratulations to the other as well. It was a brilliant attempt. You can always make up for scores in the coming webcast sessions. Now I would like to announce the contest of this week. So contest of this week is quite simple, so I expect maximum participation and at the quickest. So the first question for the contest is, we want you to programmatically create an array such as shown in this particular example. The data points can vary, and I want you to extract every diagonal element and amplify it by 2 and again replace it back in the same array, or create another additional indicator and replace it back there. This is the first question for the contest. Second question, I want you to programmatically create a table in LabVIEW with the columns as shown here. Sign cos, tan and square root. So you can take any value of x and find the sine, cos, tan and square root of those first. And second, based on the values here, I want you to extract that particular row of sine, cos, tan and square root and display that. So if I say a 5, I should get this particular row to be displayed. And the third question. And there's also another question posted on the community, hasn't been added on the slides. So there what we want you to do is take an array with positive and negative numbers and just simply extract the positive and negative numbers based on the latest edition in LabVIEW 2012. So find out what's the easiest way to do that. So as you are already familiar, LabVIEW Enabled is the extended platform for learning about Webcast Wednesday or having a post-Webcast Wednesday learning session. Here you can interact with your peers and industry experts, participate in the contest and win exciting discounts about almost 50% in CLAD and other certification exams, and attend 20 of these sessions and you'll even get a free attempt at CLAD. The link to the question is being posted on your chat windows, so you can click on that link and directly end up on the contest page. Please answer. If you have any questions, ask us and we are right here to help you out. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us on the chat window. Thank you for attending.